Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru and welcome to another pickups video. I had a bunch of stuff between January and February. I didn't quite have enough in January to really make it worth doing a video for, so I waited through February hoping I would get a few more things, and I did. So let's dive in and take a look at what I got for the first 2 months of 2021. So I'll start with a couple of things that I got in the mail here not too long ago. And gonna be a huge shout out here for these, because these are both things that I've been wanting to grab for a while, and that is a pair of Xbox 360 shmups. So the first one is Espagoluda Ii. This is the Platinum Collection or Platinum Hits version. This was a Japanese release, but this particular one is region-free. There's a limited edition version that is not region-free for some reason, and I don't know if that's because of licensing with the soundtrack or what the deal is, but Espagoluda Ii Black Label, and of course it is complete with the manual, as is Dodonpachi Resurrection, which is the European release of Dodonpachi Daifukatsu, and this was put out by Rising Star Games. Now, normally I wouldn't go for a European release because of the 50 Hz, 60 Hz thing, but of course by this point most games had 60 Hz options, and this is of course the English translation. I don't know why Rising Star didn't put that out here, because they did release a Kai Katana here in North America, but this is region-free in terms of, or region, what's the word I'm looking for? You can play it on a European Xbox 360, and you can play it on a North American Xbox 360. So rather than having to mod my 360 or buy a Japanese model and buying the Japanese DDP Daifukatsu version, I have this. And once again, it is complete with the manual. And so, big shout out to Past Blaster, who hooked me up with both of these. He is on Twitch, twitch.tv/PastBlaster. He does cool arcade streams. I think Monday nights are his normal stream night. And he is also on Paduken, which is an arcade-focused podcast that I also enjoy. So, big thank you to Past Blaster for hooking me up with these and getting a couple more 360 shmups in my library. Also in the mail, I got Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Looking forward to diving into that at some point. Decided to go ahead and pre-order that one, which is rare for me, but, you know, it's Mario. I also got a couple things from Limited Run Games, and that is Ion Fury, which is a cool-looking first-person shooter with a female protagonist, as you can see, based on the Build engine, which is the same engine that Duke Nukem 3D was created in, so very much in a similar vein. And then also The Mummy Demastered, with, of course, the collector card. And so this was done by WayForward and is a sort of a Metroidvania. I know everybody's tired of that term, but that's what it is. You know, a Metroid-inspired type of action adventure game. So that got good reviews, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. I also got the latest shmup release from East Asia Soft, and that is Project Starship X. So let's open this up real quick and have a peek. since I always like to do that on camera. Of course, it always has the sticker there. And let's see. Probably make sure I have the deal to lightly score the plastic so I can tear this open without damaging it. The title is embossed, which is nice, and has some pretty cool character art. One thing I know Studio Mudprints already mentioned in their review, but the flap is not locking, and so that's really nice because it means that you're less likely to damage it when you're opening this package up. So, inside we have the card that shows you that I have 425 out of 1,000. I ordered this relatively early, and a nice art there on the back. The game itself, which I would normally open and look at, but I'm not going to do that this time. And, of course, the CD soundtrack, which I always say I am a total sucker for. Love to have these, not only to listen to myself, because this kind of stuff usually makes great background music for me at work. Of course, the little tray that comes in. But also, when I do cover these games on my podcast later, it's also super handy for me to be able to have instant ready access to the music, so that I don't have to mess with that. So that is Project Starship X on the PlayStation 4. Of course, it is on Switch and I think PC. Yeah, it's on PC as well. But this comes highly recommended, and it looks really fun. So I'm looking forward to messing around with this one a little bit. It's kind of a semi-roguelite type of shmup where the stages that you get are not entirely the same every time, and there are some stages where the basic flow and layout is the same, but there may be differing enemy behaviors and things like that. So a little bit of a different experience every time. Project Starship X. I also got this dude that we talked about on the podcast. This is Flight of Pigarus. It is a Sega Master System caravan shoot-'em-up that the developer Kage-san released for free download on SMS Power, but this group, Two Minds, made a physical version of the game that I knew that I had to have because I really enjoyed this game. Oh, and this looks fantastic. So you've got the Flight of Pigarus cart here. That's kind of a unique cart design. It's got this little notch on the top. Mega cartridge for use with Sega System only. It has a nice manual in here. It has some basic information on how to play and some info there, as well as this poster, which is really cute. I might have to find a frame and hang this up, which is basically the same as the artwork that's on the cover that I just showed. Really nice artwork. Love that. And, oh, I forgot to show you the seal that I peeled off, and I went ahead and just stuck it inside. But whoops, the other nice thing is it has a reversible cover. So, if we pull this out, this is the artwork that showed on the website on SMS Power when you would download it initially, minus the 2 mines portion, of course. That was added for this release. But yeah, this basic artwork that sort of echoes the awful North American artwork that we saw on most Sega Master System releases. So it's kind of a nice homage to that. And then this, of course, is a much nicer looking cover. So I appreciate that both the sort of tribute art, if you will, and the nice new art that was done for this release are included. Very, very cool that they did both, so that for those who geek out about the terrible Master System art, they can have that as an option for displaying the cart in their own collection. But for someone like myself who appreciates good art and likes to see this kind of thing, this is definitely what will be out when I put it on my shelf. And I'm glad to own this. One cool thing about the cartridge itself is that it has the ability to save your score. So if you play this and then put it away and then come back to it later, your high score will be saved. So unlike a normal game where when you power it off and then go back to it later, whatever your score is, if you're beating whatever the default is, that becomes the high score. Not so here. There is a way to erase it, but it's cool that that's a feature on this cartridge. Got another shout out incoming to Shane from RF Generation, who hooked me up with Kid Dracula. He had this as one of the things he was selling and gave me a reasonably good deal on it. So thank you very much to Shane for helping me to scratch this particular heavy hitter off my list for the Game Boy. There are still a handful of the more expensive titles that I'm looking for, but Kid Dracula is no longer among them. So very cool, and glad to have that one finally off the list. He also sent me a manual for Dr. Mario, which I surprisingly did not have. So I'll be able to add that to my manual stack as well. So thanks again, Shane. Another item that I got in the mail recently was the Aleste collection from the M2 Shot Triggers team. This, of course, is the collection that everyone's been talking about in the shoot-'em-up world, compiling from original developer Compile. But this pulls together Aleste and Power Strike for the original Master System version anyway, and then Power Strike 2, which was a European Master System exclusive. For some reason, Aleste 2, or what would have been Aleste 2, did not come out in Japan. It was only Europe and possibly Brazil. And so a little bit more rare and sought after, expensive title. This also has the 2 GG Aleste games, the 2 Game Gear titles, and then it also has a brand new title called GG Aleste 3, which is sort of the focus that you can see here on the back of the package with the pilot. And it is a brand new game developed by M2 in the style of the original GG Aleste games, with, as from what I understand, some of the staff members who worked on the GG Aleste games, and I want to say composer Manabu Namiki had some involvement in this as well. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to putting some time into that. In particular, GG Aleste 3, but honestly, all the games are solid, and it's got this little booklet with it. I'm not going to open it right now and thumb through it, but this Aleste history booklet Of course, it is in Japanese, so I'll have to break out the phone and do the translate app and stuff if I want to actually read this, but cool to have this little piece nonetheless. One of the things that I was excited about getting during the month that came in, I'll say early to mid-February, is something that it wasn't necessarily an impulse buy, but it was one of those things that I wasn't expecting it to be available to the public as early as it was. And when it went up for sale, I decided that I wasn't going to wait. And that is the Satiator from Professor Abrasive. I'm guessing Satiator could be Satiator, but this is an optical drive emulator. For those who are unfamiliar, this is basically a way to be able to play disc-based games by loading disc images rather than discs themselves. Most optical drive emulators basically have you plugging in a new device and essentially removing the disk drive from your system so that you can then plug in an SD card, USB drive, hard drive, and that sort of thing. And so for the Sega Saturn, there's already a couple, like the Mode from Terra Onion, a product called the Fenrir, and I believe there's one called a Ria that also is a drive replacement. And those are all, workable solutions. For me, I didn't want to go with one of those because the disk drive in my Saturn still works. So I thought, as long as I have the ability to still boot disks and my drive still works, I don't really want to remove it from the system. What this does instead is it is a card that slides into the back of the console right above where you put in the CR2032 battery that saves games and keeps your system's real-time clock up to date. And that slot was not used for any peripherals in North America, as far as I know. Now, in Japan, there are a handful of games that support enhanced video, and so it uses a video CD card that allows those games to have enhanced visuals. And then, of course, for movies and content that comes on the VCD or video CD format, you could plug that card into the back of the Saturn and then play that media on the Saturn, very similar to the original Xbox or PS2, where you had some measure of DVD support. So since my drive still worked, I've been watching, the progress of this to see when this was going to go live, so I could kind of try and maybe buy one of these once the public was once they were made available to the public, because initially they were made available kind of a first come first serve for those who were backing Professor Abrasive on Patreon. I didn't get into that as early as I didn't get into that as I was thinking I might, but it wasn't that long before they were made available to the public. So I decided to go ahead and buy one. I don't have a very large Saturn library. I've probably got 15 import games over here, and back here on the shelf I probably have maybe 20 Saturn games, including a handful of sports games that I've picked up over the years. So I don't have that much. So really any reasonable size SD card will do. And literally you just pop the SD card into the Satiator, and you got your images written to it, and it's really simple to use. It's a little pricey, but for me, as a way to, I guess, preserve my game discs and have access to them, and to continue to allow my Saturn to work so that I'm not wearing down the motor or the laser, this is a nice thing. Plus, it then gives me the ability to sort of try before you buy with some games, so that before I put the money down for a more expensive title, for example, a Japanese shmup release or something like that, I can check them out and see if the Saturn port is something that I want before I go and spend the money. So, very glad to have this and looking forward to using that in the coming weeks and months. Now, this is an interesting one. There's an electric, or I guess there's a musician who goes by the name Electro Haze, who is also a gaming enthusiast. And this individual has done some gaming-related stuff and runs a small production company called Dark City Productions, or Dark City Records. And so I'll just show you these. These are bootlegs, but they're high-quality bootlegs, and they're like bootlegs with a purpose. And that is this Gate of Thunder and Lords of Thunder remastered, as you can see there. And essentially what Electro Haze has done is sound remaster and rebalancing. And so you can see there's the Lords of Thunder. And so with some of these games, the music and sound effect balance was not very good. And so for games like Gate of Thunder or Lords of Thunder that have awesome soundtracks, a lot of times the sound effects tend to drown out the sound. And so what these releases attempt to do is to not only balance that out a little bit better, but also then enhance the music and make it sound better. So I've got this Gate and Lords of Thunder release here. There's also this release of Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton, which came out last year. And so again, it's just an attempt to sort of rebalance the sound and remaster the sound balance. Again, they are bootlegs. They're just CDRs, but they're priced very reasonably. So the way I kind of look at it is, I'm not paying eBay market prices for a PC Engine copy of Cotton, or what the prices have become with Gate of Thunder and Lords of Thunder. I already have Lords of Thunder on the TurboGrafx Mini, so I can play it there. And Gate of Thunder, my understanding is Gate of Thunder is not likely to ever be re-released because of rights issues with the audio in the game, particularly the music. So if that's the case, then there's really no legitimate way to get it anymore. And so, to me, this makes sense. And the way that they're priced, it's like Dark City is charging for the media, the custom artwork, the work that goes into doing the rebalancing and the remastering and all that stuff, and just the time it takes to make this stuff and put it all together. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really paying for the games necessarily. I'm paying for the work that was done to enhance the games. So I guess that's the way I look at it. Oh, and Cotton also came with this music CD that has the redone music on it, remastered version of the OST. So whatever your feelings are on bootlegs, at least in my opinion, these are at least high quality bootlegs that they're not like cheap Etsy or AliExpress type bootlegs. These are bootlegs with a purpose. So flame me in the comments for that if you want. And finally, I'll show off some stuff here. I got a handful of boxes, a couple of which have manuals from fellow RFGen member Fokakis. So thank you to him for hooking me up with Centipede for the 7800, Dig Dug for the 7800, Asteroids, again, 7800, one-on-one basketball for the 7800. I had the IBM PC Junior version of this when I was a kid and played it a ton. And Pole Position 2 for the 7800. And then a box for Dr. Mario, which is not in fantastic shape, but it's still a box for Dr. Mario. But, more importantly, Legendary Wings. And this is in better shape and also comes with the manual as well as the styrofoam. So this is very cool to be able to complete this copy of the game. I've had Legendary Wings on NES for a little while now. And, what was it? I want to say it was late 2019. I went through and streamed this for a few days and managed to get a 1cc. So this will be nice to have to sort of complete that game and commemorate that achievement. So that's all I have for January and February. I already have a couple things that I've either got in the mail or picked up, and I know I've got stuff coming. So I'm hoping that by the end of this month, I'll be able to do another video rather than having to wait again. But if I do have to wait, no big deal, right? Because it's just fun to kind of show this stuff off and just kind of share what it is that I've been getting. What cool stuff have you guys been getting? Let me know in the comments below. And of this stuff, what would you be most excited about if these items came into your possession? What stuff would you want to play first, or would you be most proud to put on your shelf and say that you owned? If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing so you can see more of my videos in your YouTube feed. I'll have a link in the description below to my blog where you can check out my Game Boy reviews. That is gameboyguru.blogspot.com. And also a link to my Twitter and also to Nira's channel. He provided the Super Mario Land overworld theme that I use as the intro for a lot of my videos. And he's done a bunch of other great chiptune and game music covers as well, so please have a listen to those. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.